This video is specifically curated for those that are just starting out, spending your first $100 a day, even upwards of $300 per day. Now, you've probably seen this system, publicly on YouTube, and you've probably seen this system throughout this program. And while you should know this system because this is eventually what you want to build to, I'm going to show you what to actually do if you're literally just spending your first dollars. Because if you were to build this on day one and rip apart everything you've ever done, or if you have never created a campaign before, um, you're going to be spread in too many directions. Now, I like to really deploy this system once we start to get up to about $300 per day in full. It doesn't mean that it doesn't get built along the way. All this said, this video is very specifically curated to two kinds of folks. One, brands that are just starting out, spending their first $100, and two, brands that have already had a lot of existing customers, but this is their first time advertising. So we're going to start this example with people that don't have existing customers, first time advertising, low spend, and then we're going to graduate this example into all of the same for low advertising budget, but you have existing customers. Maybe you've been around for a while, you've built your business word of mouth, etc. Let's jump into it. So I'm going to destroy what I normally say. I'm going to completely go in a different direction here, and most of this is because we're going to thrive in simplicity. So the normal system, which I encourage everyone to fully understand, there's breakouts on this, like 30-minute videos for every single section of this because it's so important. I'm going to first start by removing completely the scale campaign. We are not going to have a scale campaign, and we're also not going to have any sort of graduation system in place. That is the very first step of this. What we're actually going to be doing here is we don't technically have any testing playground. This is just our prospecting playground. In this case, for prospecting, this is our main focus for brands that are completely fresh, completely new. Now, even this feels really intense. It feels like there's a lot going on. I'm going to show you this in the Ads Manager and just how simple it is. But just so everyone totally understands here, all we are going to be focused on right now is a single prospecting campaign, our very first pack, which is going to be 100% broad with no exclusions at all in place, which is very different from what I normally say, and a round of creatives. And then what we're going to do as a lower budget advertiser, because we can't have all these exclusions, all these perfect breakdowns, there's going to be too much segmentation. You're always going to be in that learning limited phase. This is probably the only case where I actually care about the learning phase. So in this position, all we're going to do is every time we launch new creatives, we create a new pack. So if you launch your creatives on the 1st of 2025, fantastic. Let some days go by, or whenever you have your next round of creative, launch that next round of creative. Now, in all cases, as I've shared 100 times here, in all cases, why and how are we deciding what is that next round of creative? We find out what's working the best out of our first round, and we go in and create more of what's working the best, straight up. You could always take a home run swing. You could always try something new, sure. But for the most part, you want that cycle to be very simple. You launch a pack, you find out what's working the best, you go and create more of it, and you create a new pack with those new versions, those new iterations, those new concepts of ads that are already functioning well. You always do that. You build upon that. You build upon that. You can get into a system here where you have dozens of ad sets. It's completely okay. All right, what does this actually look like in practice, in platform? So let's just go through it. I'm just going to look in a blank account here, basically. We're going to create a sales campaign. In this sales campaign, I'm just going to call this prospecting _ CBO, standing for campaign budget optimization. Your buying type is auction. Your campaign objective is sales. Your budget is campaign budget. Set it to whatever you are comfortable with. This is the important part. What you can afford basically to lose is what you should be putting in here. This is your first days of advertising. You have to expect some failures. $100. Campaign bid strategy is highest volume or value. We are not selecting any budget scheduling. Make sure your audience segment reporting is set up. These are set up in your advertiser settings. We've broken this down many times. You You could search throughout this program for audience segment reporting or advertiser setting reporting or audience segments in general. Moving down to our actual targeting. So this is going to be called pack 1. This is going to be broad _ pack 1. This pack means that it's our first round of creative. Broad means it's 100% broad. The conversion location is going to be website only. The performance goal is maximize number of conversions. Do not get yourself conflicted and do not use maximize value of conversions. You need to give Facebook the easiest route to get you a conversion, and that's going to be number of conversions. Set your pixel properly. The conversion event is always purchase. No ifs, ands, or buts on this one. I've gone through this in the full settings guide. We always use always purchase. Very important. No cost per results, no value rules. Our attribution model is standard, and we are setting up 7-day click, 1-day engaged, 1-day view. Okay, this is the most visibility we can possibly get. The objective here, as you can probably see through everything I'm doing, is giving Facebook the most amount of signals to share all the information back to Facebook. This is going to give us, not necessarily over a long period of time, the absolute best result, but over the short period, first days, it's going to give the most amount of information to Facebook to allow them to find the right people to therefore actually drive purchases for your business. How you optimize on value, cost caps, etc. down the line, that comes, but it doesn't come when you're spending $100 a day. Budget and schedule, untouched. Audience. This is one of those points where everywhere else throughout this entire program, I'm going to give you very, 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 very insightful information on how to use your audiences. I'll break things down like make sure you have exclusions, make sure you use single interest audiences, etc., etc. In this case, it's so simple. We're leaving this blank. We're not touching it. It should say Advantage Plus on. We're not making any sort of adjustments to anything here. The only time you really want to do any kind of very particular piece here, this is again the first $100, and keep in mind I'm going to go to the second version of this in a moment, is your minimum age. If you are a restricted product, set it to 21 plus or 25 plus, whatever you have to do. Otherwise, keep it at 18 plus. All languages are fine. Everything's fine. Placements are going to be on Advantage Plus. We're not touching our placements here either. We're not trying to drill down and remove anything. If we see our audience size, now it says my audience size is up to 161 million. I think that's actually something that is only happening because this particular account that I'm doing this demo on is a female brand, female oriented. And if it was a totally blank account, this would actually say up to 300 million. So just keeping that in mind, this should be huge. So this setup is very straightforward. And as I mentioned, you're going to create your ads down here. And when you go and create your next round of ads, you have that iteration ready. All you're doing is you're duplicating this ad set. So you're going to quickly duplicate this ad set. It'll create a copy of it. We're going to go to the top. We're going to call this pack 2. Keeping all the same settings, exactly the same. And obviously your ads will duplicate along with it. You could either delete your ads or edit your ads from there, right? So we just want to have new ads into the next pack. It's super, super simple. And I know, you're in this program probably to listen to very tactical advice. That is all packed in here. But I'm trying to give you what I really think is most important for the first $100 per day in ad spend. From my perspective, to add some validity to this, I could easily tell you to do something complex, and most people would probably follow it. But this is one of those cases where I'd rather say, forget my strategy, forget the system that we've created that works so well, because it's more important to do this right for a short period of time to then graduate to that. Okay. So in those early stages, right, you are creating this basic pack system. You could also play around with some interest groups in here as you continue to scale, but don't focus on it. The focus is broad. The focus is broad. The focus is getting the best creatives, creating more of them, and creating new packs of creatives over and over and over again. It's okay if you have 10 packs of creative or more. Totally fine. Now, I promised everyone a V2 of this. Let me just cut these out of here. So I promised everyone a V2 of this, right? You're spending $100 a day. You're spending a low budget overall, but you have existing customers. You built your business, say, on word of mouth or on different marketing modes, organically, let's say. So what I would normally suggest is this system right here, which is our retargeting and our retention buckets. Now, For retargeting and retention, in most cases, I have breakouts that I like. All of the breakouts, as I mentioned in the next upcoming videos, they're custom to each brand. However, for these breakouts, it is very, very important in the early days when you're only spending $100 to group as much together as possible. So let me show you kind of what this would look like. Now, ignoring the creative section here, I'm just going to delete that as I did. You're going to move your 14-day Facebook and Instagram engagers to a longer window. We need to expand these audience sizes. So this could be like 30 to 60 days Facebook and Instagram engagers, right? So this is the new version of what we're creating here. Wow, that's an ugly color. There we go. Facebook and Instagram engagers. And then the next one that's pretty easy to do is you could take your site visitors and combine it with your add to cart initiate checkout. So for this, I would just take 90-day visitors plus IC, which is initiate checkout, plus add to cart. Okay. This grouping now becomes one. So now you only have 2 ad sets in your retargeting. Really, really helpful. Now, beyond that, you're going to take this retention campaign. Let's just move this up here a little bit. You're going to take this retention campaign and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do another level of combining here. So we're going to take our purchasers, which we have right here. We're going to group these into all-time purchasers, which is 180 plus, and 180. So we're just truly having a all-time purchasers plus 180 purchasers. I know that technically all-time and 180 are the same thing, but this is just my way of showing you that we are grouping together these 2 ad sets. We just want all of anyone who's ever purchased from us in one group. Now, what I would actually recommend here, it's very easy to just do this and have 3 different campaigns. But what I'd recommend in these very, very early days is to just do this. Boop. Now we have a retargeting / retention campaign grouped as one. Make sure that's clear. Retargeting / retention campaign grouped as one. And now what it looks like is quite simple because we get rid of all this. We now have this very simple group of 30 to 60 day engagers, which are people who've been to your Instagram, been to your Facebook, etc. We have site visitors, 90-day window of site visitors, anyone who's added to cart, anyone who's gotten to the checkout but not purchased, and then we have a big group of all-time purchasers. In the early days, you're gonna have these are such small cohorts, right? These are like 100 people, 500 people, like they're very, very small. And it's very important for us to allow Facebook to decide where that budget goes. Now, this is not your forever strategy. Your forever strategy is almost always going to be this. Eventually, you get to the point where you break this out again, but it doesn't mean that what you do today is what you have to stay with forever. This is just the building blocks for you. The great part about this is if you set this up like so, then eventually when you start to scale, truly scale, I'm talking like you're spending $500 a day, $1,000 a day. Then we add on, that scale campaign up here. Then we add on interest groups into this prospecting campaign. Then we break out retargeting and retention, and we have different segmentations, and you have custom segmentations based on what's unique to your business. That system starts to build on itself, and if you jump into it, you're kind of setting yourself on fire a little too early. So anyway, this is a very important thing to follow. I'd highly recommend it, and hope this one helps.